Not my usual type of videos on this channel anyway, but I figured this would be interesting. And plus, on my other actual power scaling channel, I normally show clips of stuff I'm talking about. I can't do that for this video. I'll explain later. But today we're going to have two yeah, amazingly powerful characters fight each other. I will not be surprised if you don't know a single one, because one of them doesn't exist yet. And the other one, basically no one saw its comics. Even though you might recognize one of the images. The guy on the left is the Darklord, and the other one's Max, the stick figure. So we're going to have those two people fighting today. But Darklord is one of my characters of the series I'm going to make in the future. And Max is in, like a manga-ish. Except it's more like a comic because it's in America, but like a comic/manga that was sold by my friend, even though not a lot of people actually bought it. So if you're the lucky ones that actually did buy it, more power to you. But this fight is actually interesting because these two not only having their own, okay, ignore about the arm. These two not only just having their own scaling and their own verses, but not only that having their own scaling, they're actually in a collab, or will be. All my series, all 6 of them, is collabing with Max's series like in the far future. So they do have scaling to each other. So I'll cover this fight in multiple rounds. First round, they're consistent scaling. Second round, they're crossover scaling. And third is going to be for like high bars for wank, but not wank, basically. So starting off with round 1, we have for consistent scaling. We'll start off with Max, because unlike the Darklord that's been in like 40 to 60 episodes, Max only had 8 chapters, so it'll be much easier. And we're only going to cover chapters 1 through 5 right now for consistency. So start off at the beginning of the series in chapter 1 for the stick figure. He's literally just a normal human. He's like wall level most, if not street level. He's like a military soldier. Until it gets attacked by a giant ghost overlord and nearly dies. Then it gets ejected by like a whip-off super soldier serum and became significantly strong enough to match, if not actually beat, the ghost. Whether it was easy or not, I forgot, but all you need to know is he scales to him. The ghost earlier on in this chapter leveled towns quite easily. So depending on where you want to count this would be like town to small city level, depending on how easy to level them. But the ghost plan was to destroy the planet, which of course be at least planetary, self-explanatory. But the ghost can get up to yard planetary too, depending on how you think you can fly. If it can't, then that means he's destroying the planet from the surface, which is actually much harder to do. Which is at least yard planetary levels of power for him. But you can get him higher from chapter 1, because apparently the ghost is powerful enough to destroy the entire universe. Which, if you just mistaken to destroy everything in the universe, that would be multi-galaxy. But since he was going to destroy he could destroy the universe itself, he'll be universal. Possibly high universal, if they think the universe is infinite or not. I didn't bother asking my friend. But he could be universal to high universal from chapter 1. Chapter 2 and 3 is almost fillers. Yeah, I know, bad pacing to have filler chapters in the like, second and third. But chapter 4 and 5 is real impressive stuff anyway, because Max goes on a killing spree. And this is why I have the title of God Killers here, because he went and killed not tens, not hundreds, not dozens, but he went on to kill thousands of gods. thousands, with every single god that he killed being higher dimensional. So Max should have been easily universal plus, if not possibly hundreds of thousands of years into it, because I guarantee at least some gods jumped him, and he also had the stamina to jump thousands of higher dimensional beings, like even if it took a few hours. So you could scale him pretty far into 4D in the space form, so universal plus. And then he unlocked his god form, which his god form after killing with gods was able to multiply his base power 100 times over. So yeah, he's 100 times 4D at least. But in chapter 5 he can get higher than Uni plus. Because this is like this is the first actual war, or second if you count the god fighting as wars. Because he fought the Grim Reaper with his little team. His team is kind of weak, so I'm not going to count them here. But you could argue a scale to the Grim Reaper. I say not fully, because after the Grim Reaper resurrected an army of dead, Max City had to bring other, like, universes here. Like, he summoned the Dragon Ball, God of War, Avengers, DC, and other universes to help him. Or people from other realities, basically. I'll get into the reality thing a bit later, but basically, he basically jumped the Grim Reaper of Kratos, and it was the one to kill him in his god form. So, how strong's the Grim Reaper? Well, again, he's at least 4th dimensional. But one thing that R2 versus has in common, that this is easily the strongest god by far. And this Grim Reaper actually has infinite power on top of his 4th dimensional nature. So it's infinite 4D, or multiversal plus. And Max killed him, so you could say he's multiversal plus. You could say he couldn't fully scale to this because he did jump him with Kratos, which is infinite 5th dimensional. But Kratos is also just helping with fighting the army a bit too. And Max was the one that killed him. But you could have scaled like the Grim Reaper to Kratos if you wanted to. I'm just gonna scale him to infinite 4D right now. So technically with his own power, that's where he scales consistently. But if you use chapter 6, he can't get higher. Because this chapter, in one part, he got possessed by Satan. And gained a new level of power called his devil form. That made him 1,000 times stronger, because he was able to beat Kratos, that was 1,000 times stronger than him. Which, if you know God of War scaling, Kratos is at least 5th dimensional, not infinite 5th dimensional. So he was scared of that, or it'd be Yo Complex Multiversal in his devil form. But I would like to know, after Satan stopped possessing him, he could never access this form again. But you could give him it if you really want him to. I am, because you will need it. Now for speed, he has at least FTL scaling. And that's because Ghost is strong enough to destroy the universe. You might be like, why is Destroy the Universe FTL? Well, because even if he was going to go planet by planet destroying the entire thing, or if it's in an explosion, it would have to be at least 4.3 times the speed of light. Because the universe expansion is over 4 times the speed of light, so to catch up to that, it has to be at least 4.3 times the speed of light. What is FTL? But since he can travel across universes, even his multiverse, rather quickly, that will be multiversal plus infinite speed, depending if the universe is infinite size or not, or if there's infinite universes. But in his god form, he should have infinite speed. And in his devil form, if you want to count that, he'll have immeasurable speed from transcending time. So yeah, at least MFTL plus infinite speed, if you want to use the form that you shouldn't have access to, immeasurable. Now, moving on to his hacks. He has all the standard stuff like teleportation, weapon creation. I think he has to. Oh no, he definitely has that. And like regeneration, like he can regenerate from a single atom if he wanted to. He can also duplicate himself, I'm pretty sure. But verse 2, main abilities that he has, which is like going to be OP. The first and most powerful ability he has is called 99% Overdrive. My friend always yaps about this all the time. But basically what it does is it significantly boosts his power while making him invincible. So yeah, he takes absolutely no damage on that form for a few minutes while being significantly stronger than him in his base or god form. This amps him to a level he never been before, which means it's at least a 1000 times multiplier, because 99% overdrive is stronger than the devil form, so it'll be over 1000 times stronger than his god form, and over 100,000 times stronger than base. And in those few minutes, he can't take any damage. He doesn't use it all the time because of side effects. After he uses it, he goes into a 1000-year sleep. His friends did make a device that allowed him to not do it, but it doesn't work all the time. But basically, the two options he has is either go into a sleep or keep that power on forever, or at least for days, which would make him pretty much invincible. And his other ability is called Total Ease, I think it was called, or something along those lines. And basically, this guy's normally a human, and humans are physically incapable of using more than 80% of their power. And even if they could, they can't unleash it all at once. So basically, this guy unlocks 100% his power, 100% in whatever form he's in, and can dish it out every blow. So every blow is equal to 100% of his power, not just a small percentage. So every blow will be sending out multiversal level energy. He also has an indestructible backpack on his back that he can pull any weapon from. It's generally invincible, even though it should be able to be destroyed. It just hasn't. But moving on from Max, we have the Darklord. The Darklord has a whole bunch of multi-continental to multi-galaxy level stuff. But for bare minimum stuff, he's possessed by a demon. When the character in the suit released that demon, it created a star 16 times as massive as our sun in 3 seconds, which is large star level kinetic energy at least. But he also would massively upscale character that created an explosion that could destroy the Milky Way 8 times over. He actually upscales that character at full power. When he created that explosion, she was at 1. She was at 25% other 1%, so she'll upscale it. So he would upscale that explosion, or use to train the Milky Way 6,400 times over, which is 64-ish tons or multi-galaxy. But going to higher ends, he can destroy universes pretty casually. And these universes are infinite, a bare minimum they're infinite, which would be high universal. But some of them even have 4th dimensional constructs in it, which would make a multiversal plus, so just infinite size too. And you can destroy it with no sweat. He also gets to infinite multiversal, because he was going to destroy pretty much the entire megaverse down to just 1,000 universes. Now 1,000 might seem like a lot, but keep in mind that the megaverse has infinite multiverses, and each multiverse has infinite universes. So yeah, this is an infinite multiversal, and also a multiversal plus feat. Because at bare minimum, he destroyed 999,000 4th-dimensional universes. Assuming that the final 1,000 out of the 1 million in total there is for 1,000 universes that survived. So yeah. But he can get even higher because he's empowered by hell itself. A very small percentage of it, but he's still empowered by it. Now, a single drop of hell's power has near infinite power, which would be at least universal, not high universal. But he can get all the way up to 7th dimensional, because hell transcends the void, which transcends the God realm, which transcends time. So that's a seventh dimensional. Technically, I could just scale higher if I wanted to, I'm just not right now. He also scales to a sixth dimensional because another character called the Saddle Lord was able to create a godly realm, which is basically a rip-off domain expansion. But this realm that I created was sixth dimensional, and the Darklord is shattered out of it with like medium difficulty. So that'll be sixth dimensional power there. And he can also create his own godly realm, which he calls a devil realm, which basically copies characteristics of hell, but it's seventh dimensional. So he creates a seventh dimensional plane of existence, which is complex multiversal. For his consistent scaling, he can get as high as eighth dimensional because he upscales all the gods, which there's billions of them. These gods that he upscales are literal concepts in and of themselves, but we're going to get into that concept scaling later because that can get pretty high for him. We're going to get to that in the third section, by the way. But at bare minimum, he would upscale Zeus by like a yacht, which could one-shot Hercules and Poseidon at the same time, which is about the same strength. But overall, he'll be like 40 to 2,000 times stronger than Hercules, which held up heaven for millions to billions of years. Which heaven transcends hell, which so would be at least 8th dimensional. And say that Hercules even just wanted to destroy it, even though he didn't because all the gods would just jump him. So it's implied he could. I know I'm saying that like I didn't make this feat, but you know. But yeah, a weakened Hercules from holding something up for billions of years could destroy 8th dimensional. I use an 8th dimensional construct. And again, the Darklord would massively upscale full power Hercules, yet he own weakened Hercules. So he'll be 8th dimensional or complex multiversal. For speed, I use MFTL plus because he's faster than the Saudi Lord, which can travel across light years and minutes, which is MFTL plus. But he can also travel across the entire universe in like 20 seconds if he wanted to, while casually talking to someone. So that would be infinite speed. And this entire infinite multiversal-sized megaverse that I was talking about, hell is half the size of that, and he traveled through that in like 15 minutes while actually trying, which is way beyond infinite speed. Even travel just outside of hell too, with the space just outside of hell has no time to stop people from escaping if it can somehow pass an infinite sized distance. So since he traveled in no time, that will be inaccessible speed. But you can quite easily get him to immeasurable because he's above fourth dimensional, so he transcends time in and of itself. Which it makes sense for him transcending time, because he literally killed the god of time. The god of time also just paused time in the great god war that happened millions of years ago. And the Darklord is one of the few characters there that was actually still able to move after time was paused. So he's consistently like inaccessible speed, but you can quite easily get him into immeasurable because he outspeed the god of time in itself, which is the concept of time. As for his abilities, he also has like regeneration and stuff. His suit can regenerate from like a single quark matter. It can regenerate from like string theory in and of itself. Same for the person's side. As soon as it gets the powers, he can teleport and stuff. Summon demons that is not consistent with their power at all. Anywhere from like wall to dwarf star for a single demon, which you can summon hundreds of. About 739 to 958 was like his cap, pretty much. But for the main abilities that matter, obviously his Devil Realm, they can basically summon like a part of hell, or like something that replicates hell, which is in the 7th dimension. which if someone gets chained up in there, all their powers gets nullified, and he has a 100% chance of hitting them before ever attacking once. And he lasts for 10 minutes, by the way, before he has like a 10-minute cooldown timer. His other attack is called the Gyro Cannon. Imagine Goku's Kamehameha, but like red. Instead of amplifying someone's power, it basically takes a part of his power. Like instead of fighting for a while and using 50% of his power in that fight, he can just shoot out 50% of his power in like a single attack if he wanted to. And he regains his power pretty fast. They can shoot anywhere from 10 to 99% of his power in a single shot. Average he uses is about 20%. And for his final main ability, it's the Hell Bomb. Imagine the Spirit Bomb from like Dragon Ball, but like instead of attacking evil and purifying it, it attacks goodness and make it evil. It is also as powerful as like a 30% Gyro Cannon. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. By the way, the infinite multiversal attack, where he was going to destroy infinite multiverses, was a 75% Gyro Cannon, so the Hell Bomb is just under half as strong as that, so it can also destroy infinite multiverses. It will also destroy a good chunk. It destroyed all the Ympus and a good chunk of the God Realm after that, which is the same size of the Megaverse, so that'll be also an infinite multiversal feat. You could say it's possibly up to 5th dimensional, if you want to say that for the Hell Bomb. And that's basically all the abilities that matter. I do know he has one more, and that one is basically just called Existence Eraser. The one ability that he has, which can, like, no, which basically makes 99% overdrive meaningless. Basically, if he says his full name and touches you at all, or you touch him, and just says the word erase, he can erase you from existence. Like, not just you, he erases your entire concept from existence. He never uses it because he doesn't want to just accidentally erase something, but he can erase things. He can erase concepts from existence if he wanted to. Now, with that stated, who would win? The Darklord, like easily. I think it's pretty clear who is more powerful. Like Max, at most skills to infinite 5th dimensional, while the Darklord is infinite 8th dimensional, or at least have 6th dimensional feats. So yeah, even if you use like total ease and use 100% of his power at once, it's not really going to help. He's still going to outscale him, so he's basically going to tank all of his attacks with like no difficulty. He tanks attacks of gods that's much stronger than the ones that he killed. I mean, you can look at that like this. They both killed gods, just one of them killed significantly stronger gods. Gods that's stronger than Max. The only attack I can see that Max can use that can realistically damage him is 99% overdrive, which literally makes him invincible. So you could just say that the Darklord couldn't hurt him, but he does transcend like his max, and like I guess even if you don't give him the devil form, he'll be 5th dimensional with 99% overdrive because it would have been stronger than the devil form anyway. So that power just amps him a dimension to 5th dimensional anyway. So I guess it doesn't matter what you give him. But even if you say that, he just upscales him by 1 to 3 dimensions, depending what you use. But if you do want to say he's still invincible, and literally no attack could hurt him, and he's just outright trying to pound on him, it wouldn't make that much of a difference because, he's still just tanking all the attacks. They both still cannot hurt each other. And he's most likely faster, because even though it amps his power, it's never stated to amp his speed. So, yeah. He's just dodging all of his attacks. He could summon demons if he wanted to attack him, but since they cap at Dwarf Star, Max is just gonna like kill them all with his pinky finger. I guess I would just say Darklord could just instantly win through existence erase, so he could just erase his concept. And you have to transcend existence to even attempt to fight it. So in just for 10 seconds he's being erased, he's going to feel unimaginable pain and just die. Nothing he can really do there. Not to mention that the Darklord has higher enter speed that I just didn't cover. You can also get him to like a 11th dimensional if you use the crossover stuff, but again, I'm just gonna say that for the second person. But anyway, on round 2 right now, we have crossover scaling between us. Now this is usually the story intentions. The Darklord beat Max easily. His God form is equal to 80% of the Darklord's power. But that does at least amp Max's power up to 8th dimensional. But by the end of the crossover, they're both scaled to at least 11th dimensional from absorbing power of fusions. Not really important in this video, but yeah. You can get him pretty high. But Max should still use, because even then he unlocks a devil form after that massively upscales the Darklord. By the way, the Darklord has other forms too. I didn't cover them because it's not needed. It doesn't amplify any dimensions. It basically has like, he has a whip off his Zaru form that's times his power by 20. Then when he lost that, he gained 2 more forms. First form is 5 times space, second form is 20 times space. If you want to do all of the forms combined, it'll be 400 times space and just beat Max. Max eventually did give upper hand of a Darklord in the crossover when he unlocked the devil form, and as well as 99% overdrive, he was significantly stronger. But then after absorbing the power of fusions, he kept like a different version of the devil form with the same multiplier, and the Darklord just upscaled that in his base form. So he has to give him 99% overdrive. The Darklord wins, and even if you do give him 99% overdrive, say Max is stronger, the Darklord can just erase it from existence. So it gets, I'll say, 1.5 points the Darklord gets, depending on what you use. If you want to say, what did Max cut through his armor? Because underneath his armor is literally just a normal human. I mean, superpowered human, but he doesn't get above solar system level normally. If that. But the thing is, he can't cut through his armor. Like, at bare minimum, his armor resists explosions that destroy like half of hell, which is again at least a 7th dimensional plane of existence. So yeah, it's above Max's reach to destroy to cut through it. Even used for crossovers, saying his power is able to cut through it. Well, everything about the Darklord's power got increased, including the power of his suit. And he even said himself one time that he can't even pierce through his own suit. And the most that you can do is like with those little Yava claws that you see is he can like scratch it a little bit. So his durability is outright above his attack potency. So yeah. But moving on to the third and final round, we have their high-end feats. Basically feats that they have that isn't very consistent, but it's still there without being wank. Guys, if it's wank, I wouldn't really cover it. I suppose you'll start with Max. Max can get pretty high. My friend just keep on making jokes how he's souls fixing, but with these he actually does. The main villain in chapter 6 is Galactus, but I'm just going to ignore that because I don't want to cover Marvel scaling. But it gets covered with chapter 7 and 8, which has the same villain, a Catnap clone. But basically, all you need to know is he tanks for explosion of realities. But basically, going on to what the reality thing is. A reality speaks the same thing of a cosmology. So basically, the reality of the Darklord's form is called Reality 7, which is the 7th cosmology. And Max is from Reality Zero, which is where the 0 point is found. Basically something from Fortnite that he just took. The 0 point holds together infinite sets of infinite realities. Basically, every cosmology that ever existed, or exists now, has existed, or ever will exist is in those realities. If a new cosmology gets made, it becomes a new reality. So every person's verse is really just everyone's reality. And upon those infinite sets of infinite realities, a catnap whip-off villain basically broke the 0 point and basically just shattered it, which caused all the realities to be pulled together into a black hole. Which that black hole is very powerful. By bare minimum, for the power of all these realities, the Darklord outright states, technically the Woods go to each other, so I would say that. The Darklord, in his own series, said that there's some realities that has infinite dimensions, so that'll be high hyperversal. And the 0 point at least scales to that, if not above that. So it'll be high hyperversal to low outer versal with that black hole. But it can get higher because it outright, you know how I said it was a comic, basically? Yeah, it whips through the page itself. This thing whipped through its own comic. It transcended fiction. It's not like anything like Goku breaking out of his like panel or anything meant to be serious. No, meant to be a joke. It's a serious moment with his actual power. Yeah, so this is supposed to transcend fiction pretty much, which will be boundless. And then Max, as well as his other friends, survive that explosion. But if we don't say they fully scale to it, well, Max does, because after that, the villain basically almost dies, and Max uses his powers. Everyone say, how does he scale if I've used his powers? Well, his powers got taken from him, and to prevent all the realities turning into another black hole, his own power pulled all of them together into one mega infinite sized island, having all the realities that didn't get destroyed this in that immeasurably infinite sized island. And Max's power with a new 0 point holding it all together, and it's actually more powerful than the original 0 point. So it will be at least high hyperversal to low outerversal, if not up to boundless. If not possibly a year or two into it, if you want to say that. So yeah, Max is a beast. Now onto the Darklord's highs and scaling.